Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. I'm just having some fun with my producer Aaron, who can't add up, fortunately, because I just loaned him some money. Anyway, listen, here's the thing. We're going to talk this morning about the coronation. Of course, we're going to talk about the biggest security operation ever done. We're going to talk about the King's Shield, the boat in the river. We're going to talk about the Dog and Duck, which is where the Prince and Princess of Wales are going. But now, for right now, let's talk about something completely different, because I mentioned it to Isabel Oakeshott this morning. There's a place called Cookham Wood, which is a borstal, to all intents and purposes, a young offenders institution, otherwise known as a YOI, in Rochester in Kent, which is not a bad part of the world. It's one of the Medway towns. It's one of the places you can go to if you get lost going down the M20. Sometimes they close it at night. I'm a victim of this. I once got caught in a sort of triangle around Rochester, couldn't get out of it, ended up coming back to London because I couldn't get south. It was ridiculous. But anyway, they basically send boys and girls there if they are young offenders. They've got 450 staff, including 44 managers, but they are only responsible for 77 boys aged 15 to 18, which is a ratio of 6 staff to every teenager, right? Now, for some bizarre reason, it costs £275,000 per year per teenager to go there. Now, I haven't seen the figures on recidivism when these people get released, but I can be pretty sure that young offenders who have offended enough to go into this place must be probably people who have committed quite a lot of crime. And I would imagine when they come out, they're going to commit quite a lot more crime. It turns out that you can go to Eton, the top public school in this country, for £60,000 a year. Now, that's a lot of money, and it's an awful lot more money than most people make. In fact, it's about double what the average salary is in this country, around about 30,000. So if you sent these people to Eton instead of actually sending them to Borstal, as Isabel Oakeshott said, what do you think the outcome would be? The outcome would be that they would no longer be criminals. The outcome would be that they would probably become reasonably helpful members of society. I mean, obviously, some people who have been to Eton haven't exactly been that, but most of them have. Or they could go to other particular boarding schools, because they probably have difficult family lives, they probably have difficult social problems in and of themselves. But why not come up with a better plan? Because it's all very well sending them to an institution where they can't do any harm to anybody else, and I get that you take them off the streets because they might be violent criminals, or you might be trying to teach them the way to behave in society. But £275,000 to me is totally and utterly ridiculous, because for that kind of money, they should be getting cured of whatever they suffer from. They should be not coming back out and committing crimes, and they should be being trained to do something useful. I mean, even if you didn't send them to a public school or a boarding school, surely you could put them into some kind of apprenticeship training. Surely you could teach them some kind of trade so that they would be able to have useful and helpful lives in society, that they could be contributing members to society. Surely that is what we should be doing, isn't it? What we shouldn't be doing is wasting £275,000 per year per teenager. It's bonkers. And this is exactly the kind of thing that drives people like me mad, because you've got a government and you've got a public sector and you've got a state which spends and wastes more money than it can ever possibly generate. Because this is our money, ladies and gentlemen. It's taxpayers' money. And it's being wasted on people running a prison. And if that's one prison in this country, can you imagine how much else is being wasted everywhere else? We keep being told there's not enough prisons. Well, you've only too many prisons like this. We'll all be bankrupt. Unbelievable. 0344 499 1000. You know it makes sense. We're going to be talking to some of you in a moment. How about this from somebody, Ash from Haywood. He says, I've ordered my... he says, Mike and Isabel, the junior leaders of the armed forces ought to be brought back. Teenagers convicted should be conscripted to serve. They carry on in education and learn trades too. Well, that's equally a good idea. Surely we must be doing something more constructive than just locking them up in a young offenders institution where they fight each other every single day and make makeshift weapons to hurt each other with.